Brothers and sisters, today I would like to share with you a few stories about the Eucharist, share about the presence, just to break up our rhythm a little bit. Firstly, it's one of the witness stories of John Paul II. He just had this sense of the presence of the Eucharistic Lord, that one day one of his bodyguards said that they went on some visitation in this building, and as they were passing by, it was like a door, could have been to a cupboard door, and there was no sign, there was nothing. John Paul just stopped and looked at the door, and then turned to the guests, the hosts of this place, and said, "What's in there?" And then they said, "Oh, Your Holiness, it's the Blessed Sacrament. There's a little chapel." And so John Paul went in and prayed for a while, and it was like he disappeared in prayer when he went. John Paul was known to just fall flat on his face in adoration for hours, even as Pope, before the tabernacle. So this witness of the highest part of the church is the same. And I know Pope Benedict spoke so much about adoration and said that Eucharistic adoration is like a revolution of love, of force that just goes into the hearts of the very fabric of the universe and changes it. And Pope Francis has spoken so much. He said that the kind of prayer that he thinks is least known among us now in the church is this Eucharistic adoration. So they speak out of their familiarity with being with Christ. Then there's another story of a girl who was a medical student in Dublin, and I was friends with a couple of them, and I brought her to meet to the priory, and I brought her into the little chapel room, and she just got goosebumps, and she said, what's in here? Something feels so different about this room. And I said, that's a Blessed Sacrament. You're feeling the presence of God. It's tangible. He's here. Today, the real testimony to what I want to share is about André Fuasadis, son of the founder of the French Communist Party, and he was brought up with a lot of different ideology, and he was led to believe that God wasn't real and that the church was very anti-religious. And eventually he had this very powerful conversion, an experience in front of the Eucharistic Jesus, who converted him himself, and then would later become very well known in France in journalism. So I want to read with you his conversion experience moment when he entered this chapel. To me, it's one of the most beautiful things, and I don't want to butcher it, so I'm just going to read what he says. My gaze passed from the shadows to the light, from the faithful gathered there to the nuns to the altar, and came to rest above the second candle burning to the left of the cross, unaware that I was standing in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament. And at that point, suddenly a series of miracles unfolded, whose indescribable force shattered in an instant the absurd being that I was, to bring to birth that amazed child that I had never been. I just think those words are amazing. This is heart of Christianity, heart of Christ, that if we allow him to enter into our heart, he would shatter the absurd being that I was, to bring to birth the amazed child that I had never been. And you see, this is what God is calling us to be, amazing children, in the sense that we're children in amazement. And that we need to pray for humility, and it's a fight for us every day. But to be so humble that everything is big, everything is wow, that's where, sin gets in the way, and ingratitude and all sorts of things get in the way from us having that wonder. But we can ask for the gift, because it's a gift of the Holy Spirit, to have awe and wonder in God's presence. God, please pour out on me awe and wonder in your presence. At first, the hint of these words, spiritual life, came to me, as if they had been pronounced as in a whisper next to me. Then came a great light, a world, another world of a radiance and a destiny that in one stroke cast our world among the fragile shadows of unfulfilled dreams, of which I felt all the sweetness. This is the gift of wisdom operating now in his soul. The gift from the Holy Spirit is what produces in our soul the sweetness of God. That God is real, that his presence is sweet. A sweetness that was active and upsetting beyond every form of violence, capable of breaking the hardest stone and that which is even harder than stone, the human heart. The Lord's love, what is it? It is not like any other love on earth, and yet it's so elusive, but yet so real, more real. It passes through the heart like a whisper, and it can make you give up everything. So we have to ask the Lord, give us this taste, give us this glimmer of you. And it says that its overflowing eruption, so complete, was accompanied by a joy which is the exaltation of the saved. the joy of the shipwrecked, who's picked up just in time. These sensations, which I find difficult to translate, which cannot capture these ideas and images, were all simultaneous. Everything is dominated by the presence of Him of whom I would never be able to write His name without fear of harming its tenderness, of Him before whom I have had the good fortune to be a forgiven child who wakes up to discover that everything is a gift. God existed and was present. One thing only surprised me, the Eucharist. Not that it seemed incredible, but it amazed me that divine charity would have come upon this silent way to communicate Himself. And above all, that He would choose to become bread, which is the staple of the poor, and the food preferred by children. O divine love, eternity will be too short to speak of you. Isn't that beautiful? Eternity will be too short to speak of you. Lord, give us a blast of your presence. May the Lord bless you, Father, Son, Holy Spirit.